Alright, peep Smitty. David Barksdale, also known as King David, and Larry Hoover had a complex and significant relationship that played a crucial role in the history of Chicago's street culture. These relationships were marked by both rivalry and alliances, significantly impacting gang dynamics in the city. Now here's a few details, right? Both Barksdale and Hoover were prominent street leaders on Chicago's South Side. Barksdale led the Disciples, Hoover led the Gangsters. Initially, the gangs were fierce rivals and gangs of violent territorial disputes and power struggles. These conflicts resulted in numerous violent incidents and casualties on both sides. Now, in the late 1960s, recognizing the mutual benefits of reducing internal violence and increasing their collective power, Barksdale and Hoover decided to form an alliance. This led to the creation of the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. Yeah, the Black Gangster Disciple Nation, it aimed to unify their efforts, reduce internal gang conflict, and better protect the interests against rival gangs and law enforcement. This alliance significantly altered the gang landscape in Chicago, creating a more organized and powerful entity that could exert greater influence over criminal activities and community dynamics. You know what I'm talking about? So, the alliance helped both street cultures, maintain control over the respective territories more effectively, minimizing internal disputes and focusing on external threats. The Black Gangster Disciple Nation facilitated more coordinated efforts in the drug trafficking, extortion, and other criminal enterprises, boosting the economical power throughout these trenches, you know? While Barksdale and Hoover had a working relationship based on mutual respect and shared interests, underlying tensions persisted due to their strong personalities and leadership styles. The alliance required careful navigation of the leadership dynamics to prevent power struggles from undermining their cooperation. Now peep Smitty shit. Jeff Fort, yeah, this guy Jeff, right? Led the Black Stone Rangers, later be known as Black Peace Stones, another powerful gang in Chicago. The relationship between Barksdale and Fort was primarily adversarial, marked by violent clashes over territory and influence. There were occasional attempts to broker peace and form alliances to curb violence, but these efforts were often short-lived due to deep-seated rivalries and conflicting interests. Barksdale engaged with various other street leaders to form temporary alliances when it served his strategic interests. These alliances were typically pragmatic, focused on specific goals such as reducing violence or collaborating on criminal enterprises. Barksdale also maintained relationships with certain community leaders and organizations, leveraging these connections to gain support, when it comes to conflicts within the community. Now, after Barksdale's death in 1974, the lines between the Disciples and the Gangsters continued but eventually fractured. The gangs split into separate entities again, each continuing to operate under their respective leadership. Say Hoover went this way, King Shorty took the beaties that way, you know what I'm saying? You had Booney Black, the New Breeze doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? But David Barksdale's relationship with Larry Hoover was a pivotal element in the history of Chicago gangs, characterized by a strategic alliance that temporarily unified the efforts and reshaped the street culture landscape. Their complex dynamic involved both cooperation and competition, highlights the intrinsic nature of the street's leadership and the challenges of maintaining such alliances. You know what I'm talking about? Now, the involvement of the Black Gangster Disciples and the Black Stones in the civil rights movement is a real touchy topic, right? While these gangs were primarily involved in criminal activities and territorial disputes, their influence and pressure in Chicago African-American communities during the 60s and the 70s intersected with the broader civil rights struggle at that time. Now, here's how these organizations played a part in the civil rights movement. Both the Black Gangster Disciples and the Black Stones had significant influence in their communities on the south side of Chicago. Their members were often from the same neighborhoods affected by systematic racism, poverty, and police brutality, which were key issues in the civil rights movement. Members of these gangs occasionally provided protection for civil rights activists and community members during their marches and demonstrations. Given the violent backlash often faced by civil rights protesters, gang members could use their presence and reputation to help deter attacks from hostile groups and police. Some gang members participated in civil rights marches and rallies, driven by a shared sense of injustice and solidarity with the broader movement for African American rights. Their participation, however, were more opportunistic and less organized compared to established civil rights groups. Now, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when Dr. King brought the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to Chicago in '66, there were efforts to engage with local gangs to address urban issues such as poverty, housing, employment, and leaders like King recognized the potential influence of gang leaders and sought their cooperation in community initiatives. Leaders like Jeff Fort of the Black Stones had meetings with civil rights leaders and community organizers to discuss ways to reduce violence and improve living conditions in their neighborhoods. These interactions were often complex given the conflicting interests and approaches of the civil rights leaders and gang leadership. You know what I'm talking about? Now, Jeff Fort for the Black Stones were involved in various community programs aimed at providing educational, job training, and recreational opportunities for youth in their neighborhoods. Some of these programs received funding from federal and local government initiatives designed to curb gang violence and promote social welfare. These initiatives were sometimes seen as a way to channel the gang's influence towards positive community engagement, aligning with some of the goals of the civil rights movement. Under David Barksdale leadership, the Black Disciples also engaged in community activities. You know what I'm talking about? Free programs, free food for the kids and things of that nature, you know? But the primary focus of the Black Gangster Disciples and Black Stones remained on their gang activities, which often conflicted with the nonviolent and lawful strategies advocated by civil rights organizations. This created tensions and limited the extent of their cooperation with the civil rights movement. The involvement of gangs in community initiatives sometimes attracted increased surveillance and crackdowns from law enforcement, which viewed these gangs as significant criminal threats, despite their occasional community engagement. You know how they do, you know? Won't let a brother, you know what I'm saying, flip it up one time for nothing, you know? Hey, it is what it is. So in closing, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, stay tuned in, stay plugged in, stay rocking with the God, man. I'm gonna bring some of these kings, some of these G's, you know, some of these legends back to life. You know what I'm saying? This right here is what we call nation business.